Hi, I'm Pamela Salzman and welcome to my channel. Today I am making, I think, the perfect fall cake. It's pumpkin, it's apple cider, it's got great warm spices, and it couldn't be better for all your fall entertaining needs. Okay, let's do it. The first thing you want to do is grease up your Bundt pan. Let me tell you something. You do not want to spend the time making this cake just to leave half of it in your pan. So take your time here. Use your fingers to get in all the little nooks and crannies on your Bundt. And once you feel like you've gotten every little inch of this coated, then you could add a little bit of flour. I like to kind of sprinkle it in the middle of the Bundt just to make sure that I'm getting it evenly, and then just kind of tap it around and then tap it down. I usually do this over the sink or the trash until all of the excess flour is out. Now your Bundt is ready to be used. All right, first you're going to put your dry ingredients together. This is half all-purpose flour and half whole wheat pastry flour. Next, all of those delicious spices that you know and love go with pumpkin. So cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and nutmeg. Then we need our leavening agents, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. It's really important to whisk all these things together so you've got nothing clumped up. Okay, set your dry ingredients aside. Next, let's do our wet ingredients. The first thing I'm gonna use is some eggs. We've got 3 large eggs. Make sure they are at room temperature. It makes a huge difference when you're making a cake. Room temperature ingredients are crucial. Next, I'm using olive oil. I know, it sounds weird, right? Olive oil in a cake? No, it's delicious, especially with fruit desserts. The olive oil is amazing. And I love an olive oil cake. It helps keep the cake moisture for longer. Plus, if you've got dairy-free friends, now it's a dairy-free cake. Then I'm gonna add in the pumpkin. So pumpkin doesn't really taste like what I think everybody thinks of as pumpkin. It's really the spices that taste like kind of the familiar flavor of pumpkin, but this does add a really nice moistness to the cake. This is just kind of standard canned pumpkin. You can find it everywhere right now. All right, next, I'm gonna add in some granulated cane sugar. For those of you that like to use an unrefined sweetener, you can use maple sugar. It works perfectly in this cake. So mix this together. And then we're gonna add in some apple cider. You can use apple juice, you can use apple cider, but it just gives like a really subtle apple flavor and sweetness, and it's like perfect fall combo, apple and pumpkin together. I always love to add a little vanilla extract to all my desserts, so in we go. Who needs to measure vanilla? Perfect. Now, add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients, like so, and then mix to combine. You just don't want to over mix this. If you're using a flour that contains gluten, then by over mixing, you can develop the gluten and it can become kind of tough on you. So just make sure that you're barely mixing it, like so. All right, perfect. Now take your prepared Bundt pan and pour your gorgeous batter into your Bundt. Look at that color, so gorgeous. Okay, once you've gotten all of your batter in there, it's time to bake. So after your cake has cooled a little bit, just run a thin knife around all the edges and including the center. Place a cooling rack right above and flip. Moment of truth. We did it. It's always stressful, isn't it? All right, you're gonna let this cool completely before you put on the glaze. For the glaze, you wanna take a cup of powdered sugar. So I like to sift the powdered sugar before I work with it. That way I can ensure I'm not gonna get any lumps in my glaze. So I'm just sifting it through a sieve, and any of the larger clumps of powdered sugar you can just press through with your fingertips. Next, you're gonna add in either some melted butter, or in this case, plant butter, in case you want this entire cake to be dairy-free. And then just slowly add in a little bit of apple juice or apple cider. I highly recommend adding in less than you think, because for some reason, you don't need very much at all. So I'll just gradually add it like a teaspoon at a time until I get the consistency that I'm looking for. I don't want it too thick, but I certainly don't want it too thin. And if you've ever watched Cupcake Wars, you know that you have to make sure your cake is fully cooled before you glaze it. Otherwise, your glaze is just gonna run all the way down the sides and not stick. So that looks like a pretty good consistency to me. And then you'll just drizzle right on the top and let it do its drizzly magic. There, that looks beautiful. Look at that gorgeous pumpkin apple cider cake with an apple cider glaze. I definitely think we need to cut into it to see what it looks like on the inside. If there's one fall cake that you're gonna make this season, I hope that it's this one. If you like this video and this recipe, please share it, please like it, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time for the next video in my kitchen. Thanks for joining me.